Hello, my name is Andy Prats, and for my final project, I will be covering the topic of why I believe public funds should be used to build stadiums for professional sports teams. Let's begin. Throughout the semester, we've learned about the major influences that sports as a whole have on several aspects of the world around us, such as the media, the youth, the economy, and even politics. One of the major aspects that sports play a major role in influencing is how it impacts the youth and the people who get to experience different types of sporting events. Sports help to inspire all types of people, ranging from the youth to the older audience, and it allows those to connect and take pride in their team's identity. It also serves as a major role in the economic aspect of the world, as it is something that is constantly attracting attention from the public eye, and it has multiple aspects attributed to it other than just playing a game that contributes to an overall economic growth. With this being said, one of the most important facets about sports is obviously the stadium or venue in which the sport is being played in. And as we all are aware, building stadiums for professional sports teams is very expensive, in which a large percentage of the funding comes from the public. In fact, from 1991 through 2004, a total of 78 stadiums were either constructed from the ground up or substantially renovated, which cost $26 billion, of which 61% was covered by public funds. Nowadays, the split between public and private funds, for the most part, is split 50-50. Public funds include sales taxes, proximity and beneficiary taxes, general obligations, and revenue bonds, and tax increment financing. Now, the question is, should public funds be used to build stadiums for professional sports? In which case, I say that yes. I believe that public funds should be used, as there are many benefits that come with building a venue for professional sports teams, but not in the way that they are currently being used, which I will cover shortly. But for now, let's start with the reason why I agree with the use of public funding to construct sports stadiums. There are many benefits when it comes to using public funds to build stadiums for professional sports teams, because having the presence of a professional sports team helps that area be regarded as major league, which in turn allows the residents in the area to take pride in their team and gives them a team to follow. Both the team and the stadium becomes a place where it facilitates for different types of people to come together. It allows the residents to experience special events such as playoffs and championships, and most importantly, it increases overall economic activity. As was just stated, having a stadium built for a professional sports team in the area that one calls home gives those people a team to follow and to take pride in the team identity. It allows them to experience massive events such as playoffs and championships, and all of these factors boost community morale and helps bring people from different walks of life together. It helps people from the same community come together in a way that would have never happened if the stadium were not to exist. Furthermore, the stadium also attracts the attention from tourists or people from outside the area who want to experience a professional sports team competing live in the stadium, allowing even more people to spend and share their time with different types of people, forming healthy relationships and bonds with one another. Now, going back to when I stated that the presence of a professional sports team helps that area be regarded as major league, is in other words saying that the value of the community or local area is increased when a professional sports team home stadium belongs there, which in turn begins to boost economic activity in the area. A stadium for a professional sports team increases the value of the area, which begins to increase other aspects such as the local real estate value. It also attracts attention from people outside the area and creates traffic for local businesses such as restaurants and hotels, and allows the local businesses to flourish from the constant exposure and the opportunity to sell their products that comes with being in or around a professional sports stadium. The construction of stadiums also creates more job opportunities for the people in the area, because with the construction of a stadium comes the construction of other businesses such as hotels, restaurants, and other retails around the area, which allows for the people to have the opportunity to work on either constructing the stadium, construction of the outside businesses, and when everything is built, the people in the area can also work in the stadium, which creates several job opportunities such as ushers, ticket takers, refreshment stand workers, cleanup crews, and maintenance workers, as well as working on the outside businesses. Also, a professional sports stadium holds special events such as playoffs and championships that, apart from bringing further exposure to the area, which further boosts economic activity, events such as those often generate upwards of $50 million in revenue. And lastly, professional sports teams also attract national media attention, and with more media attention comes even more exposure to the area, further increasing the overall economic activity in several different aspects of the local community. In the end, by using public financing to aid in the construction of sports stadiums, it facilitates the production of stadiums in several parts around the world, which brings more economic benefits to the local area that will funnel the money straight back into the community by increasing real estate value, attracting outside attention, which brings in more traffic, and allows local businesses to flourish. It attracts national media attention, which furthers the exposure of the area, creates numerous job opportunities, and even generates a large amount of revenue just from the special events that are held inside of the stadium. Apart from increasing economic activity and funneling the public funds spent back into the local community, using public funds to construct stadiums for professional sports teams allows the locals to connect with each other and to take pride in their team's identity, not only bringing the people in the same area together, but all kinds of people from all around the world together to experience a professional team competing at the highest level. My stance on this topic is that public funds should be used to build professional sports stadiums. However, many are opposed to the idea and argue against it. Often, there are two main counter-arguments that are brought up. The first being that public funds should not be used for things like building stadiums, but instead for other projects and services such as education, environmental, public, health, and community services. And the other counterclaim being that the economic benefit that some may state comes from having a local stadium for a professional sports team is not as beneficial as many make it out to seem. First, let's cover the argument that there are better ways to use public funds. Even though my stance is to agree with public funding being used to build stadiums for professional teams, there are other sources such as education, environmental, public, health, and community services that can benefit from public funds. In these cases, I believe that public funds should be focused on aiding sources of the community, like those just mentioned, meaning that these other types of services that have a major impact on a community should be prioritized over the construction of sports stadiums. And then, if in the area in which a stadium is looking to be built has a healthy community, the remaining public funds should be used for other things such as building sports venues, as ultimately many benefits come from doing so. Now, let's get into the second argument, in which many sports economists agree on, that states that the overall revenue that a professional sports team generates does not benefit the local community economically. Even though this is a valid point, it is important to understand why this is currently the case. Between 1970 and 2020, approximately $33 billion in public funds were used to build stadiums for professional sports teams in the United States and Canada. The more important fact is that the split costs covered by public funds has been decreasing from 100% in the 1970s to an estimated 44.2% in the 2010s. This now leads me into my proposition. I do agree that these two counterclaims brought up are valid arguments, but I rebuttal them by saying that a 25 to 75% split between public and private funds respectively should be taken when looking to build a stadium for a professional sports team, instead of the current split, which is approximately 50-50. This is a proposition brought up by sport economist Judith Grant Long, and this is a deal that should be done in order to only use a small percentage of public funds to build sports venues. That way we can ensure that other services such as education, environmental, public, health, and community services are covered, as well as ensuring that the economic return that comes from building a sports stadium actually benefits the locals, since only a small percentage of their funds were invested into the stadium to begin with. Sports play a major role in influencing several aspects of the world around us. It becomes even more influential when a sporting event at the professional level is experienced within your own community. Being able to see professionals compete against each other inspires those who are fortunate enough to witness it, and gives the local community the opportunity to take pride in following a team that they can call their own. The stadium in which these special events take place also becomes a place where people from all around the world can meet with other people and form a bond that would have never happened if the stadium were to never exist. The construction of stadiums and venues for professional sports also greatly boosts economic activity in multiple aspects of the community by creating numerous amounts of jobs. It makes the community be valued more, raises national media coverage that consequently allows the local businesses to flourish like never before. This is why I strongly believe that it is beneficial to use public funds to build stadiums for professional sports teams. Many may be opposed to the stance that I have to this topic, and they may pose counter arguments such as public funding should be used for other services instead of such as education, environmental, public, and health and community services, and that the economic benefit that many people state comes from having the presence of a professional stadium for a professional sports team is blown out of proportion. In which case I say that these are very valid arguments that even I can agree with, which is why I propose that public funds should be used to build stadiums, but not in the way that they are currently being used. The common occurrence in today's day and age is to split the cost of building a stadium to roughly a 50-50 split between public and private funds. And this is something that should be changed, and instead should be somewhere between 25 and 75% between public and private funds respectively. With this change, it allows a large percentage of public funds to be used for more important services, and by only using a small percentage of public funds for the construction of stadiums for professional sports teams, it guarantees that the local community will benefit economically in the long term, all while still being able to produce more sports stadiums because public funds will be used to aid the construction of numerous amounts of venues. This is my works cited page with all the references used to find all of my research presented in my presentation. A document with all the references seen on this slide will be uploaded along with my video presentation as well. A portion of my research presented was taken from the class book, more specifically from chapter 3, and the other portion of my research was found from the following 2 references. This concludes my presentation, and thank you all for your time.